Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. Big breaking political news tonight. Oregon Congressman Earl Blumenauer is done. He's not going to run for re-election. Willamette Week broke the story earlier this evening. We'll have much more on that tomorrow night, including a look into the KGW vault. In the meantime, another page forward, hopefully, in the story of Portland's comeback from the brink of destruction. The mayor says the daytime camping ban will be enforced starting just 2 weeks from now. That's one of a few changes going on with the city, and it's our big story tonight. The work to restore safety and sanity to downtown Portland continues tonight, and we have some compliments to hand out and some, I guess you'd call them not compliments. Let's start with the mayor. Finally, more than 4 months after it was passed by City Council announcing the daytime camping ban will be enforced. Now, whether it gets shut down as unconstitutional by a judge once enforcement starts, that's yet to be seen. But for most of you who are beyond fed up by the houseless problem, I know it's about time. Here's the mayor making his announcement this morning.
We committed to providing a 2-week notice before beginning enforcement of that ordinance. This is that 2-week notification. Beginning on November 13th, the Portland Police Bureau will be authorized to enforce the ordinance. However, they will do so in coordination with our Street Services Coordination team. Importantly, this enforcement will take time and a great deal of collaboration amongst the Portland Police Bureau and the Street Services Coordination team. So we ask for your patience as well as your understanding as we navigate this complex issue upon the rollout of the program.
The camping ban means homeless folks cannot set up tents and sleep in certain areas during the daytime. They get 2 warnings and then they can be arrested. The city has to offer them a shelter space when telling them they can't camp there anymore. And both the mayor and police chief warned that you will not see citywide sweeps to enforce that ban, that it's going to be more targeted and probably start with a few known problem areas that generate lots of complaints. So if that's your neighborhood, maybe good news? Hopefully. The mayor also highlighted that the city put up a whole bunch of new lights to help with safety and attractiveness downtown.
A lot of people think it's just for decoration, and it does look beautiful. We get lots and lots of comments about the lights, particularly the ones in the trees, but it's also made a noticeable impact with regard to public safety. This work has lit 75 city blocks, expanding to 1,000 trees and 6 of our downtown parks.
You know what? Good for you. I'll give you that one. It's a good move. I've seen those lights. They're cool. And the mayor says it makes a difference in crime. So congrats to everyone involved in that one. On top of that, the police bureau is going to put between 6 and 8 extra cops on patrol in downtown in the evening until early January. Police Chief Bob Day said he personally will put in some time on his calendar to take part in those patrols. That's good, too. See, we're getting some progress, getting some action. The Portland Chamber of Commerce is thrilled.
But we are thrilled that Chief Day is taking over and has brought the perspective of bringing police onto the streets and into our businesses and communities the way that he has. We are thrilled, we are grateful, and we are supportive of the Chief's work here and his vision for bringing safety services to our community. So, Chief, we've got your back. Good luck, and we're here with you.
Finally, the mayor urged private companies to force their workers to come back to their offices in downtown Portland.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to renew my call to downtown employers to bring your employees back to the office at least 20 hours per week, a step that the city took back in April of this year. One of the fastest things we can do to activate and improve our city is to have employees come back to work in the downtown core.
Well, that does give us an interesting pivot point here, because another group focused on reviving downtown Portland also met today and also briefed reporters afterwards. It's the governor's task force on Portland. And it's interesting, her co-chair is Dan McMillan. He's the CEO of the Standard. He used to have 2,000 workers come into work in downtown daily before the pandemic. He told the Oregonian in August that he'd probably lose a whole bunch of people if he forced them to return to the office now. So there's that. The task force is the group that Governor Kotek said would be focused on action. In August, she actually said, we can't just talk about things, we have to do things. Well, guess what? So far, they've just been talking about things. Although, and I don't mean this to be sarcastic, kudos to the governor. She did make a phone call and maybe got some things going.
I picked up the phone last week and talked to the CEO of Union Pacific, a major partner in the Central City core. They have many rights of way that, graffiti and trash are an issue. We had a really good conversation. They're willing to step up and do more on their property in the Central City. So it's those types of things that we need to see to all come together to move forward here.
I sent an email to the railroad company. They did not respond. Hopefully you folks who live around the rail lines will see a difference, although the governor had no specifics to share on what the railroad is going to do. The task force also seems very pleased with an online survey where they asked people about their top concerns for the Central City. Maybe you responded. They got 9,000 responses. Of course, they could have just watched this show and read your comments on pretty much any night. The top 3 concerns were crime, homelessness, and mental illness on the streets in our city.
And I would just also echo what the governor said about the clear alignment between thousands of survey respondents and how the committees are aligned into this task force. It's very clear what the things are that we should work on, and we're very aligned with all those who count Portland as an important part of their lives, and that's what we heard in those surveys. So very encouraged about where we are. Plans and forms and specifics are taking shape with really they're in draft form now, looking at real clear specifics and be very crisp when we come to the summit in early December.
Okay, here's my opinion on this. I genuinely applaud everyone who's trying to help out. Good for you. Thanks for taking your time. We all want you to succeed. Here's what I don't like about the task force survey. It's a waste of time, and it makes you think that you're doing something when you are not. Why is it when a task force like this gathers, they feel they have to start from scratch, do some original research? They did not have to do that. It's clear as day what people are concerned about, want answers. You could literally watch this program. We cover it often and hear from you every time we ask. You could also ask pollsters like DHM Research. They're a great company. They make it crystal clear. This is from August of this year. Look at that second row in from the left. That's Portland Metro, homelessness, drugs, crime. Those are the most important issues. I mean, I'm glad you got 9,000 people to respond to your survey to tell you that all over again. But come on, it's not a secret. You're wasting time. We want action. Picking up trash by the railroad tracks doesn't really sound that overwhelming, but okay. It's the only real action to come out of that group so far, so I guess it's a start. Action, people. Putting more cops on the streets. Yes, that's action. Enforcing the daytime camping ban. Yes, that's action. Those are concrete steps that the public can see, and we believe it's going to make a difference. The rest, I got to tell you, it's just talk. We are so far past being patient for talk and task forces and blue ribbon panels. Let's see some real action from this task force. That's when we'll know our downtown is really coming back. At least that's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but you do have to communicate. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I full of it? Could be. Is it good to take time to study the issue for months and then prepare a report? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Send an email. The address is thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. One of the things I love about this show, when we ask for your comments and your thoughts like that, you do not hold back. They pour in. So let's get to some of your thoughts on a story that we brought you Friday. It involves self-serve gas. If you missed it, here's a quick refresher. Oregon's largest union wants to roll back the law that allows people to pump their own gas. They submitted an initiative to put the issue to voters next year if they get enough signatures to make it happen. They tell us the main issues are accessibility for disabled folks, safety, and job loss, calling the self-serve bill, quote, bad for workers, but oddly good for gas station profits. But there's also a backroom politics angle to all of this. The union held off criticizing the gas bill during the legislative session when they could have criticized it because they were promised another bill would make it easier for cannabis workers to unionize and that bill would get through the process. But here's the thing. Once the self-serve gas bill passed, the other bill did not move forward. So now the union's kind of ticked off, and they're going after the pump your own gas law, and they're also trying to put that other issue up to voters as well to make it easier for cannabis workers to unionize. OPB reports the union's going to need to collect 117,000 valid signatures by July to put either one on the ballot next fall. So there's the backstory. And we have to admit, whenever we do a story about self-serve gas, we do hit a nerve with you because your emails and voicemails poured in Friday night and kept coming in through the weekend, which we love. Let's start with folks who would support the initiative to repeal self-serve gas.
I am definitely one of the people against pumping my own gas. In the beginning, it was because I didn't want to get all over my clothes and dressed up and smelling like gas when I go places. Now I have asthma, and when I go to the station to try to get gas, it bothers me when someone else pumps it, let alone my pumping it myself. So I would definitely sign the union petition.
Yes. I would love to pump your own gas item back on the ballot. This isn't the only issue that citizens have voted for, and then the legislature decides they know better and override the majority. I say put it back to the voters. I don't want to pump my own gas. Never have, voted for it twice, no, and here they go again.
All right, thank you, Joe. Chris wrote to us, I am almost 70 and have not pumped my own gas since I moved to Oregon 35 years ago. However, I was willing to give it a try since it had requirements for full service at 50% of the pumps that would be serviced by attendants in urban areas. Chris goes on, this has not been my experience the last few months. None of the gas stations I visited had the pumps labeled as full and self-serve, and I had to physically get out of the car, go inside to request assistance pumping gas. There were no visible attendants outside to assist customers. Not exactly full service.
I'm 80 years old. I am very disabled, and it is next to impossible for me to pump my own gas. And it's also impossible to drive up and find somebody to pump my gas for me. These people that love it, that's fine for them, but it's not fine for me at all. So I'm in a real pickle.
All right, thank you, Judy, for your comment. So here's a bit from folks who want to go back to the way things used to be, but plenty of you told us that you like pumping your own gas and you want things to stay the way they are right now.
I'm absolutely furious that they want to roll back self-service gas. Being able to help myself at the pump has saved me so much time and frustration. I'm sure whatever intentions the unions have for rolling back this bill are self-serving and not truly reasons of worker advocacy. It's so weird. This is such a lame hill to die on, and it's such a waste of time. Leave it as it is.
All right, thank you, Tim. Ted wrote to us to say, my blood pressure is rising. I like pumping my own gas if needed. Union 555 needs to just shut up and go away.
I really like the idea of having the choice of pumping my own gas. It gets really, really tiresome pulling into a gas station with 6 pumps and 1 attendant, and you sit there for 20 minutes waiting to get up enough where you could get your gas pumped.
Now, we did hear from a number of you who say you want someone else to pump your gas, but you have been able to find attendants at stations you usually go to, so you're fine with this new law.
I'm all for leaving where we can pump our gas or have it pumped. I have somebody do mine, and I see other people doing their own. So leave it alone. We're both being taken care of. Just leave things as they are.
Okay. And I'm sure some of you are seething. Either you're seething or you're cheering over these last few minutes. But listen, if you have strong opinions on the pump your own gas law or the effort to repeal it, you know the drill. Email us. The address is thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail. The number is 503-226-5090. Coming up next on The Story, negotiations continue between Portland Public School and the Teachers Union with a massive strike looming Wednesday if they cannot find a deal. We're answering your questions, including, does the district have to pay teachers for days they strike if it does happen? And then later on, Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafina will join us for an in-depth trick-or-treating forecast for tomorrow night. He'll check the record books to see how tomorrow is shaping up compared to years past. Those stories and more when The Story returns. The clock is ticking here in Portland for the school district and teachers union to make a deal, or else the district's first ever teacher strike is set to begin on Wednesday. What are the chances of that actually happening? Quote, pretty high according to the union's president over the weekend. We'll see. Negotiations are ongoing today and tomorrow, so we will be watching to see if the two sides can channel their inner Monty Hall and make a deal. In the meantime, our team is hard at work answering some of your questions as it relates to a possible strike. Here's one that we've seen. Is Portland Public School required to keep paying teachers during a strike? The answer? No, they are not. In fact, the district has already said it will not pay teachers for strike days, although back pay could become a bargaining chip in a possible settlement to get teachers back into the classroom if the strike does happen. Most teachers are paid a set annual salary and generally are paid once a month, usually on the last working day of the month. So you can understand now why the strike is set to begin on Wednesday, which is November 1st. Most teachers will be getting paid tomorrow on Halloween, meaning they have some breathing room since their next check would be a month later at the end of November. That sort of pay schedule is fairly common among American school systems. The teachers get consistent checks throughout the year, even when they're off in the summer. So if the strike does happen, but a settlement includes back pay, then those checks at the end of next month would look the same as their previous checks. If there's not any back pay, then those checks are going to be short, depending on how long the strike lasts. It's also worth noting the union has said that teachers who participate in the strike will be eligible for $120 a day through the Oregon Education Association's Strike Relief Fund. Coming up next on The Story, we'll get that in-depth trick-or-treating forecast from Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafina. Coming up right after this. Well, let's turn to a live look outside on this beautiful Monday night. We saw lots of sun out there today. Certainly feels like fall. But how are things shaping up for the kids and grandkids out there for trick-or-treating tomorrow night? There's no one better to ask than Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. What do you think, Matt?
Oh, Pat, it's a big forecast. I think after Mother's Day, it might be the biggest forecast of the year because so many people will be outside, costumes, and this year, no, you do not have to cut a hole in a garbage bag and put it over your kid's costume to keep them dry. It's not going to rain tomorrow night. So we're doing well on that front. The scarecast, if you will, for Halloween. It will become mostly cloudy, but there's going to be thin and scattered high clouds. I still think we'll be able to see the moon through those clouds, so it should just add to, create a nice effect in the sky for that. Temperatures will be chilly, but not as cold as the last couple nights. Should be about 50 degrees around sunset and then dropping into the 40s as the night goes on. And then, of course, the later it gets, the colder it is going to get. So all in all, we're doing well, and we don't always do well on Halloween. I dug back through the record books. Our chance of rain on Halloween, if you look at all the Halloweens in Portland that we have records for, it's rained on basically every other one, 52%. And last year was one of the other ones. We had over an inch of rain on Halloween.
Boo.
Exactly. That was a soaker. So we're due for a good one this year, and we get it. The rainiest Halloween was back in 1994. 2.44 inches of rain. And I remember that one, Pat, because it was, we forecasted rain, but we didn't forecast that much rain. We had a front get hung up right over us. I think what we would call it now is an atmospheric river. Back then, we didn't really call it that. But nonetheless, that was the rainiest October day we've ever had. In fact, that might be the rainiest day Portland has ever had for any day of the year. So we're not going to do that again because there's no rain coming. So the warmest one we ever had is back in 1954. We hit 71. And a year later, we had our coldest Halloween, 44. So there you go, the variation that we get in weather from year to year. Now, the moon has been a subject of conversation since this weekend. We had the big full hunter's moon. We had the clear sky so we could see it. And the last time we had a full moon on Halloween itself was only a couple of years ago, back in 2020, which begs the question, when's the next time we're going to have a full moon on Halloween? We got to wait a while. Some of the kids who are trick-or-treating this year will be grown-ups by then because it's 2039 the next time we get a full moon on Halloween. But that said, we're doing just fine this year. May not be full, but it'll be about 88% full. So moonrise will be at 7:35 in the northeast sky. So look for that. And again, I think with the scattered high clouds coming over, just add a little bit of color to the moon. Won't be completely full, but 88% is not bad, so it'll be close. So again, it's going to be a really good night. It'll be chilly, but we expect that. So maybe stuff an extra layer under the kids' costume just to keep them warm as they're out there gathering the goods, right? Here's a live look from our Wells Fargo sky cam. I'm looking for that moonrise. It'll be in this part of the sky. It hasn't come up just yet, but that'll be happening in about 5 to 15 minutes or so. We'll get moonrise for tonight. So there you go, Pat. Everything I can tell you about Halloween in Portland, and it looks like it's going to be a really good one. I do have a question for you, though. What's your costume this year?
That's my wife does that. I'm boring that way.
Good answer. Yeah,
Thank you, Matt.
I like it.
And by the way, Matt, I know that you've seen this a few times now, but we have to give this viewer some recognition here on the story. Her name is Natalie. She's always giving her family updates on the weather. She gets her info from you. So this year for Halloween, she dressed up as Nat Zaffino.
I love it. I actually feel honored by that. Somebody said, I think it was China on the other show, that said, hey, you've arrived when somebody makes a Halloween costume out of you. And Natalie, I think she makes me look better in costume than I do in real life. And her husband sent in that picture for us, and we've all been getting a good kick out of that. And I'm going to post that on social media a little bit later, but super fun. So yeah, personally, I like the weird Barbie costumes I'm seeing this year. Those have been really good. But, weird Matt Zaffino is not bad either. So
what is your costume tonight?
You know what? I went to a Halloween party this weekend. I should have brought up the picture. I'll try to post that to you later. But I actually was going to be out of town this weekend. Didn't think I was going to go to a party, but then I did. So I borrowed one of my son's old costumes. I was a cup of noodles, full-on cup of noodles. It kind of worked.
I love it. Yeah. All right, good for you. Moving on, the KGW Great Toy Drive is coming up soon. This is the last week to join us and collect toys for thousands of families. Just go to kgw.com/toy to get started. If you're a local business, school, anything like that, you can help after you sign up. We'll send you a collection kit. That website, one more time, kgw.com/toy. And for those of you hoping for our Digging for Old segment every Monday, well, not to worry, we're going to bring that to you tomorrow because it has a Halloween tie-in, so be sure to tune in for that. In the meantime, that's the end of our show. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, the story, our collective story, that never ends. It just goes on and on and on. The good stuff is coming your way next. I'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 6:30.